and welcome into Getting Help from Uncle Sam. Well, this is the weekend where we're celebrating 250 for the USA, the 250th anniversary for the Declaration of Independence. My guest is Associate Justice of the Supreme Court, Will Sellers. Young man, you've been doing a great job.
Thank you.
The Supreme Court.
Well, I appreciate it.
And Justice Sellers, one of the big things that we talk about a lot of times is people say Declaration of Independence. Well, my kids have always had a Declaration of Independence.
Right.
We want to be independent from something, but this is really a big thing.
No, it's a big deal, and the 250th is a really huge thing to think this country has been around that long, how well we function. And you look at why did it start out the way so well, and it's because we had a Declaration of Independence that pretty much said we're going to now no longer be a part of the mother country. Mm-hmm. And we're not just going to not be a part because we're unhappy about one or two things, but we think our fundamental rights have been violated, and if a court or if a king can't guarantee our fundamental rights, then we need to find another organization or a better form of government so the rights that we care about will be there and be guaranteed. And so 250 years ago, we did that. We had to fight a little bit of a war for that. Nothing comes easy, but we did that, and we were successful. And this country has been doing remarkably well. I mean, the freedoms that we have here, and Ronald Reagan used to talk about the gate policy, and that is, there's nobody, there are fences to keep people out, not to keep people in. People want to come to this country because of the freedoms that we have and the liberty interest that we have, and that they can be successful regardless of their background. That all goes back to Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, and all of them with the Declaration of Independence. It's a wonderful heritage.
And Thomas Jefferson, he was one that said, you get these 5 people that the Congress put together at that point to put the document together.
That's right.
And they did.
Yes.
They did.
They did, and it had to be, it was ratified. But by the time it was ratified, the Lexington to Concord had happened. The war had been going on for about a year. And so the Declaration is kind of one of those inevitable type things. Is we're now at war. We know the relationship's kind of soured a little bit. Now what are we going to do?
Now let's tell why.
That's right.
Yeah, now let's put the why in there.
And Jefferson was able to supply that. This wasn't just, some, adolescent having a temper tantrum. This was a systematic explanation of what the king and Parliament had done to alienate.
And it's actually 3 distinct parts.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The preamble.
Right.
Which says, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
And then the grievances.
Right.
That was a big part of the whole thing.
And it still is. And I think it's worth people reading that, because you understand the grievances are what we're unhappy about. And if you take the grievances and you look at the Constitution that came after the Declaration, part of the Constitution answers the grievances and says, we're going to have a government that respects these rights, so we won't have grievances again. If we have grievances, there's going to be a remedy, and the U.S. Constitution will guarantee a remedy when there are people that are violating those rights.
Mm-hmm. And as we're speaking, we actually have the Declaration coming up.
Oh, good.
Screen,
okay.
So people can see what the beautiful document looks like.
It really is.
The big signature at the top,
right.
John Hancock.
There you go.
Because he was basically the president of the group at that point. And I think he thought he's the only signer.
Yeah.
So let's get it on there big enough that the king can see it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was, when you rebel against the king, it's called treason. And at that point, public executions and taking people's heads off was not an uncommon thing. So they knew this was not some, simple, like I said, we're unhappy, maybe we'll get over it on the weekend. This is like a permanent fissure with our fundamental English organization, and there are going to be consequences if we're not successful. So the people that signed it were not doing that as like a lark. This was a serious, significant explanation of why we're no longer going to, live in this environment.
And 56 people put their name on the line.
That's right.
So to speak.
That's
because they were risking everything by doing that, as you just said. Because somebody's going to look and say, oh, there's Will Sellers.
Yeah, that's right.
What are we going to do about Will? So they can come after you.
Absolutely. And a lot of them, even though it was very heroic, a lot of the signers, this was not like to their financial benefit. It really didn't necessarily benefit them. They were true patriots. They did what they thought was right for the country, and they suffered as a consequence. Many of them suffered quite significantly because of that, and I think that gets overlooked sometimes because because we can look in hindsight and think, oh, that was easy, it was inevitable. It wasn't inevitable 250 years ago. It was much in doubt, and thankfully, we came out on the other side of this, and the prosperity and the work that this country has done to make this world a safer, greater place is remarkable, and something we should absolutely celebrate, something to be very, very proud of.
And the initial signature came up in July 4th,
Right.
1776, but basically all the rest of the signatures got in there by the beginning of August.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. It takes time to do it. You know, we
Back then, we didn't just send an email.
That's right. We live in a world of instant communications, either through telephone or through email, and it didn't quite, they didn't even have the Pony Express back then. I mean, you think about, it took maybe 2 or 3 weeks to make what would be an hour-long car trip for us. So getting it all coordinated took a little bit of time.
On a different note, we get an awful lot of writings that you've done
Right.
with regard to a lot of different things. How can our viewers access some of that? Is there a
So
site?
my writing, I write, and everything is free content. People say, well, why do your writings get published? I said, because they're free. And people are always looking, if it's slow news day, they're always going to publish my articles. But they're in different publications, some online publications. AL.com has published my last article that was about the Magna Carta and the Declaration and all that. So you can look online
That's a
and
very
find
good one, by
things.
the way.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
But they're all they're out there in various online publications. But if you look up Will Sellers or whatever, it'll come up.
Great. Well, Justice Sellers, you're doing a great job.
Well, thank you, Jack.
Remember this is your country. Be proud of it. Happy birthday, America.